Hey, what's going on, guys? Just thought I'd make a video because I finally successfully flashed the action replay for the Sega Saturn. And this thing has been driving me nuts. And so this information that I'm going to share isn't new information, uh, but it is my personal experience with it, and it might help you out, who knows. Either way, here's the Saturn down here, and the action replay is in, so I'm going to go ahead and insert a burnt disc, and that's not what's actually on there. When I was writing that name on there, I confused a couple discs, but you'll see what game is on there right away. I'm going to go ahead and leave it open, hit power, it's going to spin up, and we're getting our Saturn screen still spinning. And get the Sega screen, and there's your Pseudo Saturn loader. This is an old version, sadly. I'll tell you why it's an old version here soon. And we're just going to stir it up. Either way, there's the Sega logo. And here comes the game. There's me. Hello. Treasure. And there's the burnt disc. Still working just fine. Radiant Silver Gun. Oh yeah. This game's amazing. Very expensive too, so I'm glad that I was able to figure this out, because there's no way that I'd be able to afford it normally. So love the animation sequence that they have at the beginning of this game. It's really cool. It reminds me of like old Robotech or something like that. Either way, we'll do it in our game now. How about this time we go with some Thunder Force 5? A game that I wanted really, really bad when it came out. And never got it until now. Actually, no, I think I had it on PS2, maybe. Yeah, that seems right. Never mind. There's that again. There it is, still spinning. And there it is, loading on up and playing. Hello. Pretty cool, right? So, the things that I would like to share, just in case anybody else would like to do this, and maybe they're doing the same thing that I did. I went to YouTube and I looked up so many damn videos, and I kept finding some more tidbits of information that seemed promising, but everything that I did wasn't working, and it was getting pretty annoying, and I was starting to think that I was going to give up on it for a second there. But here's the thing. So, let me see. So first I went with this one. It was an Atlas Pseudo Saturn, and I could not get this thing to load doing the swap trick at all. And it was annoying because I felt like I was doing the swap trick correctly, but it just would not load for the life of me. I just kept trying and trying, and it was not doing it. This was also another version of Pseudo Saturn that I forget which one it is exactly, but that would not load. But then I started thinking about it. Well, hey, wait a minute. Those two are on the same kind of CD. So what would happen if, I stopped trying with those discs and I actually tried something different? And so this style disc right here, this Philips, I've had really, really good luck in the past with these when it comes to the Dreamcast, and so I figured maybe it might actually work good for the Saturn as well. And so this is an older version of Pseudo Saturn. As I was saying earlier, this is like, I think it's like 0.89 or something like that. But I got it the first try, and I was like super stoked about it. I was hitting up my friend Corey, who has already walked down this path, and he was just like, well, I got it on the second try, so I don't know what's going on, and I started, and that's when it occurred to me that maybe it's just struggling with those kind of CDs as opposed to this kind of CD. And so yeah, I got it the first try. And, the flashing process really isn't that bad if you just pay attention to what people are telling you and stuff. It's harder on a Model 2 in my opinion, from what I can see. But yeah, it's pretty easy. You put in your pseudo CD disc, and you let it spin up and everything, and then like the thing that really helped me is something that I read, not saw, and that was the fact that so you have like the certain screens, and I might even be able to try to do it one-handed. Let's see, you never know. So let's see, you gotta have a Dreamcast game. Or a Saturn game, sorry. So yeah, you gotta have that. If I can do this one hand, I'll be impressed with myself, just so you know. But we'll pull that out. And so here's the disc. And you gotta open up your Saturn, and you gotta tape down this little sensor that detects when the lid is open and whatnot. You know, I'm not gonna open mine right now because I don't wanna, but you know, look it up if you really want. That information is abundant. So we're gonna power it on. And what really gets me is right about there, it makes a sound. And that's like right on the Saturn load screen, and then it'll spin back up, and what should happen is you'll get to the Sega screen. And then you want to hit reset. And then you want to let this guy go to that same point, like which is right about there. Oh man. I don't know if that's gonna work. It got to the Sega screen, that's a good sign. It worked. See, so I did it on the first try there, which you know, that should tell you how to do it. Like, there's 3 different sounds that the CD drive makes, and one of them is loading, and one of them is going outside to the CD to check for the credentials, the code that says that this is a legit game, and then another one where it goes back over to the beginning of the disc, which is in the center, to read the game itself, or in this case, the program. So yeah, like from there, you would stick your action replay back in, and you would, you know, flash it. But, so yeah, that's just an example of how easy it is when you actually have a disc that works. You know, research that a little bit. Like, I mean, if you want to use this one, use that one. You want discs that can burn all the way down to 1, preferably. Like, if you can burn at a 1x, like, that's gonna help, you know, the game to be read and everything, or the program to be read. This one's burned at 10x, which is the lowest that I could get this disc to burn at, and same with the other ones. Now, the other ones, you'll notice, like, the games are working just fine, and they're on the other brand. Well, actually, this one's on a Philips, and so that's probably why it works well. But the other games that I've burnt actually are on the Maxwell, and they work just fine. Like, once you got this thing flashed and everything, like, it seems to be way less picky about games that it reads once it's flashed. But the other thing I wanted to tell you guys about that was kind of crazy was that when I first flashed it, the very first time I flashed it, I put in Radiant Silver Gun, and the load screen came up, and it was talking about, like, hey, we need to load this real quick, is basically what it said, you know? And it was taking forever to get off the 0%, and so I figured, well, you know, maybe it just takes a while, and so I walked away, went into my living room, checked on things on my laptop, and, you know, got a drink of water and stuff, and I was walking kind of by my game room door out over to the bathroom, and I could smell something burning, and I'm like, holy shit, what is that, you know? And so I come in here and I'm sniffing around, and the game was still loading, and I was just like, oh shit, that's not good. So I immediately just turned off my system, and I noticed that the smell seemed to be radiating from the Saturn, and so I pulled the action replay out, and it was super duper hot, and that is what was doing it. And if you look right here, right above my thumb, there's like a bubble in the plastic, and right at that point, it was super duper hot. Like, but I haven't had a problem since. And honestly, I think that, you know, like, I mean, if you ever get to that screen, that load screen before it gets to the game, and it hangs right there, do yourself a favor and pull this sucker out of your Saturn real quick, because you could easily burn this thing up, and then it's worthless, you know. It might even cause damage to your console. You don't know, like, but you don't want to know, right? And so, what I do now is I go ahead and I put it in, and then I get myself a game. And honestly, I'm kind of over the whole, like, watching the CD spin thing, so I still shut the lid. And I let it load up. Do its thing. You can watch some crazy taxis here not staring at me. Or some Gunstar Heroes there. That's actually a European TV that accepts SCART, so it's red, green, blue Genesis. It looks phenomenal. And that is a 21-inch computer monitor with the Saturn going out through VGA, and that looks phenomenal as well. Either way, here's that screen that I just showed. If it hangs on that, turn your system off and pull that action replay out. But either way, like, when it gets to this point, when the game's actually going, I go ahead and I just kind of pull it up out of the slot. And you can see it doesn't affect how the game plays or anything like that. It's really only used to bypass the security or whatever. But anyhow, I think I'll leave it at that. My next project is going to be this guy. I've had this guy for months. If I can pull it out there, it's this guy that you can stick an SD card in. You can put the Dream Shell onto the Dreamcast. And I've had nothing but problems with this, man. And, like, that's really weird, because this console I have several burnt games for and everything. And I couldn't figure it out. And I started thinking that this thing is defective. And I wrote the guy. And he gave me plenty of advice, you know, and said to make sure that those pins aren't bent in there and make sure they're making a proper connection to your SD card and stuff like that. But honestly, after everything I've been through with the Saturn, I'm pretty damn sure I need to just use different CDs. And so, you know, like, I mean, you can know it all. You can go out there and you can get all the information that you need on the swap trick and everything else. But the bottom line is if you don't have CDs that are going to work well with your Saturn or your Dreamcast or whatever, then it's not going to work for you. So, anyhow, that's it for now. Just thought I would try to share some information. Love this game. It's so good. Expensive as hell. That game's fun too, even though I suck at it. And then this game's amazing. I've beat this game several times. It's always fun every time.